Hey guys, Waterfowler41, and today we are going to be installing some tow mirrors on my GMC pickup truck here. So I picked these tow mirrors up on Amazon the other day from a vendor called ModifyStreet. They sell a number of variations of tow mirrors. This one caught my eye because of a couple different features on it. But basically what you're looking at is the chrome cap tow mirror. It looks just like the GM OEM mirror, you know, that square tow mirror style versus the rounded one. Also with the LED turn signal on it on the outside here. A little bit different than the OEM version in that these tow mirrors have COB, well they call them COB LEDs, which basically means this whole strip lights up. Instead of just the spot LEDs like the typical tow mirrors, this whole, each top and bottom, it's like a orange amber strip on it. I wish I would have been able to get this all in amber, but this is the only option they had in the COB, so took it and I like it, pretty happy with it so far. So this is the driver's side mirror, just to give you kind of a quick rundown. So it does telescope. So it opens up right here and it goes out a couple more inches. Looking at the mounting points, and I already did my passenger side, so we have a pretty good comparison here. So we have the tow mirror here, so we got 4 mounting bolts, and then we have the standard mirror that came on the truck that has 3 mounting bolts. Now these are just regular power mirrors. They don't do power folding, they don't have turn signal or anything in that. They're just a standard power mirror, and then they, you know, you manually got to pop them in. So when it comes time for installing these, only a couple features are going to work right off the bat. So obviously once you plug it in, the top part of this mirror is going to be functional, so you'll be able to control that with the controls on the driver's side door. But what's not going to work is these turn signals on the inside, as well as the reverse signals, or the reverse light on the outside. Now there's a workaround for those, and there's a couple harnesses you could buy on the internet. I'll post the links down in the description, but we're not going to do that. We're going to take, we'll kind of take a shortcut here. And really at the end of the day, I don't care so much about this turn signal, nor do I care about the reverse, but I do want that clearance light on. So I'm going to show you a workaround in order to get this clearance light lit without having to run any extensive wires. We're going to pull a signal from inside the door. But again, looking at these side by side, they're considerably larger than the stock standard mirrors. And for good purpose, you know, I mean, obviously you're going to want to see what's behind you. But what I found is you know, driving the 1 hour I've already had to drive with just the passenger one, I've used this convex mirror quite a bit. You know, it does give you a pretty healthy view of the road, so I do like that a lot. So these do fold in. Again, not power fold, so these are manually fold in. So once you mount it, you got to push it in yourself. And they plug right into the stock harness. So here's the stock plug for the mirror, and here's the aftermarket. So it's the same plug. However, there's a couple different features on here. So they give you, ModifyStreet gives you a couple instructions showing you which wire is for what. But in my version truck, so I just had the standard power mirrors, the only thing that's going to work just plug and play is the actual moving of the mirror. The clearance lights, like I said, I'll show you how to get those functioning, and there's a couple extra steps you got to do. But as far as installing them, I mean, installing them, just, you know, they bolt up. You got to drill one extra hole. So it's a pretty easy install. So I have the driver's side door open here. I'll show you. I'm not going to go through how to remove the door. There's a billion videos on YouTube about that one, but I did want to show you a few things. So once you open up the door, you got to pull off that plastic trim that goes around the top of the window. And that you get off by just pulling on the inside. And there's only one tab right here that holds it in. And this is my tweeter, so that's not stock there. But then this is the wire that you got to cut out for the mirror. Plugs into that harness. So what we're going to do, and like I said, I wanted to get the clearance light working. I don't care so much about the turn signal since we don't have a turn signal coming into the door. We'd have to run a whole bunch of extra wires, and I'm not about to do that in the middle of winter. What we're going to do is we're going to pull a signal off of this plug. This is the 48 pin plug that goes to the back of the door. And if you look closely, there is, I think it's pin number 2. There is a white and yellow wire. So this wire right here, we're going to pull that signal and use that to give us a signal up to our clearance mirrors. What that wire is for is inside your door handle. So go here. Inside the door handle, this is the little LED here. That white and yellow wire is for providing power to that LED. And since LEDs are such low amp draw, we could pull that signal off of there and share it with the clearance lights. So every time this light goes on, the outside light goes on. This light goes on at night, and that's when we want our clearance lights on. So it's perfect. We're going to tap into this 48 pin plug here. And we're going to tap into terminal number 2, which is the white and yellow wire. My understanding is you can also tap into this yellow wire here, which is controlled by your dimmer here. So you could turn the dome lights on and off, and you could dim them, which will also dim this signal as well on the yellow. But if you pull the white and yellow, it's just a standard 12-volt power supply, and that's all we're looking for on our clearance lights. So we'll tap into there, we'll run a wire along here, up the mirror wire, and then it'll tie into the mirror connector here. Now the other thing we need to do with our OEM mirrors is they don't have, since they don't have lights, there is no need to have a ground on here for the lights. Whereas the aftermarket ones have a ground for the lights. So what we need to do is pull off one of the, I think it's this one, the black and the white. We're going to clip that and we're going to ground it inside the door. It's a very easy task, and I'll show you afterwards. But yeah, we got to cut this wire, and this is the ground for all the lights. The lights will not work no matter how much power you provide to it. It will not work without it being grounded. And then we're going to clip this blue wire, and that's what we're going to tie into that white and yellow wire in the 48-pin harness. I understand it's circuit 7337. It's called LED ambient lighting. But again, that's a perfect signal to pull in to power your clearance lights. So again, at the end of the day, this will not be functional, neither will that. Only the outside clearance lights. So quality-wise, these mirrors are nice. They come packed up in cardboard box, styrofoam. You know, my kids accidentally took a hockey stick to the box, and everything's still in one piece. They're wrapped in cellophane so you don't scratch them when you're installing them. Easy to remove once you're done. And you know, so far everything's checked out perfectly fine. The one thing I did notice while installing them is there's a little bit of a tongue here to this metal. You got to make sure when you're installing it on the door that you tuck that tongue in first, and then you pull the mirror in. It's a very easy install. We'll go over it after I get everything hooked up on the door. But again, the mirror itself and bolting everything up will take, I'll say, a half hour at most. And the reason it'll take a half hour is coming back to the door. When you install the tow mirrors, remember I said the stock mirrors only have 3 bolts. You got to drill out this opening right here. So it's already there. You just got to drill dead center, which will give you the 4 holes that you need in order to install the tow mirrors. I wouldn't skip out on it. I wouldn't remove that bolt from the mirror because they're heavy mirrors. You're going to need all the support you want, especially on top like that, so you stop them from vibrating. So easily to drill that one out, and then you know, you could reuse these nuts, and then you just use one of the nuts that came with the tow mirror and a washer, and you're good to go. So use the stock ones here, and then you could use the aftermarket washer and bolt on the bottom one. But again, we'll go ahead and rip everything out, and then I'll come back and show you how everything's wired up. So tapping in the signal here, running the wire up to the mirror harness, and then we're good to go. Alright, so we got the stock mirror removed. So we undid the bolts at these, or the nuts at these 3 holes, and then we went ahead and drilled that 4th hole for the 4th mounting bolt. Then we left these tabs in place because I'm going to reuse them. So basically what this is the wire comes out of the mirror here and goes down this channel, and all you got to do is take a piece of electrical tape on the top and bottom, and it holds it nice and snug to the door. So I would highly suggest doing that because it keeps everything buttoned down and stops everything from rattling. So now that we got that mirror out and the harness opened up here, so this is the plug inside the door, and our aftermarket mirrors, or our modified street mirrors, are going to plug right into there. We're going to go ahead and install the door, and like I said, or I'm sorry, install the mirror, and reuse the stock bolts on the top because that'll give you the best hold on the top, and that's where you want it. And then the bottom one, we'll just use a washer and the nut that came with the one of the nuts that came with the tow mirrors. Before I install the mirrors on the car, I just wanted to show you one thing to take note of and make sure you do before it actually goes up against the car. Is this is a foam gasket. This comes with the tow mirrors, but when mine came with it, it was sort of popped off a little bit, and that's, you know, that's to be expected. So basically what you want to do is make sure that that foam gasket is up and around the mounting bolts, so these things mount directly to the car. If you get that gasket in the way, it's not going to tighten down all the way, and you could potentially have a bad vibration. But just while we're here, show you kind of the gasket. So as you tighten the mirror up against the car, and you tighten one at a time slowly, that way you pull everything in nicely. But this panel is flat here now, but as you start to pull it to the truck, it'll start to contour to the window and the whole door frame. So that's why you got to go slow with this stuff, making sure nothing cracks. But you know, if you take your time, it should be good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and mount it up. All right, so we finished up wiring. We tapped into the white and yellow wire right here, number 2, and like I said, you can also go into number 1. So we went into the white and yellow right here. You can go into the yellow wire as well. Our T-taps here, we taped it up. We ran our wire over to the blue wire on our tow mirrors, which goes up the tow mirror harness, and then it goes out to the clearance light. And here's our ground that we added. So we took the black and white wire, we cut it out of the harness on the tow mirror, we took a self-tapping screw and just put it right into the door skin. This is the inner skin, so it's not going to pop out on the other side. So we're going to take the rest of this harness, we're going to tape it up, zip tie everything up, and then close the door, and then we're good to go. So again, all in all, it took about maybe an hour at most just to get everything opened up and ripped apart. All right, before I put everything back together, like I said, we got the mirror on, we're good to go. We got the top 3 bolts, we had to drill that hole, and then we had the bottom bolt. We used their nut, and we added a washer. One of the things you got to do before you can put all the panels back together is you have to trim this bottom bolt, because you have this little bulge that's an indent, so it cuts in, and if you leave it the standard length, it's going to push on it and won't let you put the panel back on. So you just got to cut it off. I use the Dremel Multi-Max tool. You can use whatever you want to cut that bolt. But once you do that, then you can button everything up. So here's our harness. Our T-tap's hidden inside there. Runs the wire up here to the blue wire on the ModifyStreet mirrors. That goes up to the clearance light. And then everything else should be functional, and we added our ground. Alright guys, there you go. We are done with the install. So we got the passenger side on and the driver's side tow mirror. Overall, they stick out 2 inches further than the stock mirror, so it's really not killer. So it's 4 inches total. Your truck gets wider, 2 on each side. It's not the end of the world. So I have them on here, and sorry, it's really bright right now. Let's see. You can see real faintly that the LED is lit. So it's a sunny day right now, so it's probably hard to see it right now, but driver's side's lit, as is passenger side. So again, those are tied in with those LEDs that are inside the door handle on your truck. Let's turn this off. So they are tied in with this LED right here. So as long as that one's lit, your door is going to be lit, and that's a constant, or that's a 12 volt source upon ignition, so we're good to go. But everything's cleaned up. Panels are put back together. One thing I did learn along the way, this part right here squeaks a little bit, and this is kind of unrelated to mirrors, but if you take some candle wax and rub it on the back end of this where it meets up with the rubber, it doesn't squeak anymore. So there's the mirror. I am overall very happy with it. Fit and finish is nice. I mean, there's no fitment issues with these things. You know, sometimes you're skeptical about what you're getting on Amazon, but overall I was very happy with this. They got a lot of really good reviews, so I figured I'll take the dive. But yeah, everything fits up. It's damn near OEM. I'm sure there's specific or differences if you look at an OEM mirror, but I'm very happy with these. So let's close them. And if you want to pull them out, there you go. So now they're extended. So it looks like they go out another 2.5, 3 inches. Then if you want to push them back in, there you go. And then when you get to the airport and you don't want anyone to get clotheslined by your mirror, you pop it in like that. Then when you're driving, you're manually out. Very happy with the mirrors. So yeah, that's the mirror install. Very straightforward. Let me know if you got any questions. Comment below if you got any of the questions. I'll post a couple links that are helpful, especially the ones for removing the door panel. But yeah, if you got any questions on these, by all means, shoot me a message or comment, and I will post a link to these things in the description. Thanks a lot. One quick note on what you needed for this install. So obviously we needed our drill to drill that 4th hole to fit the bolt through. You're going to need your panel removal tools to make everything a lot easier to come off without breaking it. You're going to need a way to cut a bolt. So I use my Dremel Multi-Max tool. You could use anything else to cut the bolt. You know, tin snips might work. And then you need a 7 and a 10 millimeter socket with the ratchet for getting off the bolts around the door. They're all 7 millimeter. And then the bolts on the mirror themselves are 10 millimeter. Other than that, pretty simple to you know, walk through, and you know, obviously wiring and you know, tap splices and whatever else you need for stripping wire. Any questions, again, just comment below. But thanks for watching. Check out my other videos, and I hope to keep the videos coming to you guys. Thanks a lot. Alright guys, just wanted to give you a quick overview of what the lights look like at night. Now that we sun went down, you can actually see them. So I turned the truck on and it's nighttime, so the light throws on the night lights, and there they are. So those LED ambient lights, if you remember, they're tied in with the LEDs inside the actual door handle, so they come on only at night, which is nice because that's kind of when you want the clearance lights on. Burn them in a day, you don't even see them. So there's the passenger side and the whole truck. So I think they match nicely. I like the lines, so I got to work on getting new headlights now. Thanks a lot.